So tonight is the show's 600th episode. We've been doing this shit for over a decade. We've done we've done the great films. We've done cult films, everything from Kurosawa to Kubrick to John Carpenter. We've done pornography, the history of TV, vampires, zombies, androids, aliens. We've done Jaws, Jurassic Park, villains, Vietnam vets, pimps, prostitutes, politicians, policemen, mobsters, cowboys, kings, midnight movies, Oscar winners. The list goes fucking on and on. We've done all of it. We're going to continue to do all of it. Tonight, though, is one that slipped by us. It's always been in the back of our head. I think it's been heavily in the rotation for both of us. A crime film, a heist film, a crazy shootout film, a remake, Pacino, De Niro facing off in the same scenes for what would be the first time in Hollywood history between the two of them. Tonight, 1995's Michael Mann's Heat for our 600th episode. RickRamos, what say you?
I think Heat. I think Michael Mann's Heat is an incredibly important film to our generation. When I look back, when you get into films, you do so. When you get into film cinema, you do it at a young age, and there are certain films that you gravitate towards. When we were kids, it was obviously the science fiction, Star Wars type of thing, because they're selling toys and a mythology that you grab onto when you're a kid. But a lot of times you're reaching back to something before. You're watching The Wizard of Oz. You're seeing the films that your parents loved and the films of their generations. Heat was one of the first films that I saw as a young man where I felt this is of my generation. This is something that is specific to um, not necessarily the narrative or anything that I could really identify with, but something that felt of the moment and that I was a part of because, like you said, it was the coming together of two titans of cinematic acting, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, and I don't think you can stress enough how powerful and important and groundbreaking this was at the time. Maybe not groundbreaking, but definitely the type of thing where I don't think people today can understand how overwhelming and exciting audiences were when this project was even just announced. And the way that Michael Mann did it, you say scenes that they share. They shared two scenes, and I
Yeah.
think that's incredible. Is that he brings these two giants together, and then he holds them at different ends of the film, and only brings them together one time, and it is one of the great scenes in all of cinema, and it's not an exaggeration. It's not hyperbole. This is true. This is when people talk about scenes that really grab a hold of an audience. For those people who remember the magic of a Robert De Niro pre pre money problems basically, and Al Pacino pre Scent of a well, at this point it was post Scent of a Woman, but he was still Pacino. He was still
He
Dog
was
Day.
barely starting to scream.
Yeah, yeah. He was still Dog Day Afternoon, Serpico, Michael Corleone, Pacino. He still had that gravitas. And it was the type of thing where people who love both of these men were just incredibly excited, and I count myself among them. I mean, for those who have listened to this show for the last 10 years, you know my love and somewhat obsessiveness over Robert De Niro. I mean, but but something that changes your life, and it sounds ridiculous to some people, but when you find something in your life that you love and it takes over so much of who you are, whatever it was that brought you into it is elevated. And for me, that was De Niro. And watching these two on screen together, I've seen this movie so many times over the past 31 years that I can't remember the first time I saw it. I remember where I saw it. I remember Harkins Arcadia 8 on Thomas and 40th Street near my house. And I remember going to see it. I remember being in the theater. I remember which of the multiplex theaters I was in. But this has become such a foundational experience, or foundational film in my movie going history, that I don't remember a time when I didn't know this film. It's one of those things where um, it's it is what everything else is built on. It's on what so much of everything else is built on, and to know that I think I was around 20. I think I might have been 20, 19 or 20 years old when I saw it. So it wasn't me watching Taxi Driver on a video cassette. It wasn't watching Dog Day or French Connection, all movies that were my dad's generation that I was watching, that reflected a decade before me. This was something that was happening now. This was something that was real, and it was of the time and spoke to the culture that we were living in. And I was just really overwhelmed by it. And I never really thought about any of this until we started talking about the film, and what was gonna this episode, what the fact that we were going to talk about it on this episode. I really started to dig into why the film means so much to me, beyond the obvious of these two men coming together, Michael Mann's incredible direction, and a shootout that's unlike anything else captured on film. At the end of the day, this is um, this is everything that is good about movies, and it's, in a weird way, I think, regardless of what you do in life, there are certain warnings that are there. There are certain warnings that are pushed on you as a movie watcher, that you can relate to in life. Choices that you make, codes that you honor. There's going to be a lot of people that are saying you're making way too much out of this movie. Well, people who love movies make way too much out of their movies. I don't deny that. But this is one of those movies where I take a step back and I say, God damn, this is something to pay attention to. I love this film. I love it passionately, and any chance that I have to watch it, I jump on. That's my take. Let's get into the discussion.
I mean, for me, this was heavily, and I mean, I've been saying that to a greater extent or a lesser extent recently, because we've been doing a lot of these 90s films again, that we hadn't already spoken about. Some stuff we always manage to like revisit from a different angle, um,
Yeah,
or years later. Sometimes something like this is like it's already from a different angle than had we recorded it 8 years ago or whatever, because it's now. Um, but this is 31 years later, um, since it came out. I saw it I rented it. I didn't see it in the theater. My friends and I would rent it, and we would fucking watch the shit out of it. It was one of those in the fucking rotation.
Have you ever seen it in the theater?
No.
Wow. Okay.
I've never seen it in the theater. And it had been years since I'd seen it. Watching it for this, and I was just kind of like, God damn! Like it's and I've seen it. I've seen it a lot because it's one of those films. I've said this before. It's like Jurassic Park, Pulp Fiction, like a few films that like not all of them are on the same level. Not all of them hit the same way, like on a personal level. It was just a period for me between like, I guess really like 93, let's say 93 to 96, 93 to 95 were a lot of those films I just kind of like, it was such a formative time for me. I mean, and to a greater extent, like from 91 to 96 or 97. But like even within that, there's another window, and this fell squarely within that space. And it was just one of the ones that like, I had watched movies, and I remember even being younger and telling myself, I guess, in preparation for this fucking show, without knowing it, right?
Yeah.
I was like,
sure.
I had a little notebook, because I always have notebooks, and I was like, I'm gonna make a list of every movie I've ever seen, and I don't know why I did that. I don't know why, and I mean, I didn't continue it. After a certain point, I stopped. And I don't know, but I wasn't really getting into movies until around, the 90s when I was like more, I could retain more, and I was thinking about shit more. I'm an adolescent at this point, and now I'm like, oh, that guy's in that. This guy's in that movie. And I'm starting to build like a library in my head of like who these people are, not just, oh, this is the good guy, this is the bad guy. And so this was one of those times where there were obviously some people would end up doing like Danny Trejo. I didn't know who he was at the time because my first real memory of him is not this. My first real memory of him is from fucking Dust Till Dawn. And it wasn't out yet, if my memory serves me correctly. DeNiro and Pacino, I recognized them from like De Niro from like Cape Fear. I think I had seen The Godfathers already. I think I had rented them, but I wasn't like into them. But you recognize, you're starting to pick up. You're starting to, oh, Val Kilmer. Oh, he played Morrison. Okay. Tombstone. Okay. Wes Studi, maybe, okay, Dances with Wolves, you know what I mean? Like, and think about, Natalie Portman in this film. We'll get into the cast right now, but I'm riffing on putting myself back in that place. I'm like 2 years older than her, and she's like a fucking child in this movie.
Yeah.
And so like, because I looked up, similarly to Kids, I think Kids is like, Rosario Dawson is my age. I said this last time, and then Natalie Portman is just like a couple years behind me, in age, and so I'm also a fucking child watching this movie, like, starting to put these tacks, these like thumbtacks are gonna be in my mind for later, for now, and so we watched the fucking shit out of this movie, and we knew it was fucking good, and there's actually a in the scene where they meet up with Waingro and they go to this diner, and they're gonna try to kill him because he killed he initiated the fucking shootout with the armored truck guards. That restaurant, I knew that restaurant because it's like, I don't know, maybe 2 miles a little bit more than 2 miles from where I grew up, and I would take the bus to go to like some music stores and shit like that, like down on the other side of the tracks to Downey. And it used to be this Johnny's Broiler, and it's been in like a bunch of different movies. Later it became like a Bob's Big Boy, but it's still there. They tore it down. They kind of like they redid it or whatever. So I recognize Gucci like, yeah, fucking Johnny's Broiler. Like, even though I had never eaten there at that point, and it was weird because it was like something that you recognize in the world that's in a movie, and you could tell the movie was like important somehow. And so I'm watching it the other day, and I'm just like, God damn, like this fucking movie. We've done movies that define their decades. And I wouldn't say that, at least in my opinion, that, and I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know if you put it in the list. We'll go back to it at some other point. I don't know if you put it as one of the movies that defined the 90s for you or in general.
I don't think I did.
But I'm like, I don't think that it necessarily defines the 90s or reflects them, but I think it's definitely one of the fucking best movies of the 90s.
Well, I think it's one of the best movies of the 90s, and if it defines anything, it defines L.A. I think it does.
It's definitely an LA movie, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can tailor a film to be any place. I mean, the real McCauley and the Pacino character, Hannah and McCauley, those are Chicago guys. So the real story takes place in Chicago. But Chicago has a different vibe to it, and it has a different kind of attitude, a much different attitude than in L.A. And in L.A. has kind of like it has a showbiz vibe, while at the same time being a very, people don't understand what a blue collar town L.A. is. I mean, everybody imagines that it's Hollywood, and Hollywood is a small part of it. It's a major part of it, but there's a lot of blue collar shit job workers out there, and it's spread out in such a way geographically that Michael Mann really captures that in the film, because I mean, I think there's a couple of scenes in the Valley. They're in Ventura. They're at the Long Beach. They're at the docks.
Oh yeah, the fucking port.
Yeah, at the port. I mean, you know, I've been lost in the port. I've been lost with you in the port. But
drove me home to the port.
Yeah,
drunk as fuck.
Drunk.
Well, you didn't drive drunk. I was drunk.
You were drunk, but it's all you realize what a big fucking town L.A. is, and how just it's captured, and it feels like L.A. And it's when you live in a place. When you live in a place, you get a vibe for it. You get a feeling for what it is, what it represents, what it means to you. And I saw this movie in '95, obviously, and I wouldn't move to LA till 2000. But when I got to LA and I started first moving to Torrance, and then moving to West Los Angeles near Venice, I started to get the feeling where I would look around LA, and I was like, yeah, this does feel like fucking heat. The whole city feels like that. And there's this certain LA is just a very strange place, because it's not what you imagine it is. It is sunshine and beaches and the industry, but it's also, like I said, it's working class, mostly migrant working class people swimming throughout. And there's a lot of that in this film. Um, the you know, in the diner, the Mexican workers, or where they're stopping to eat here and there, where they're, you know, the clubs. It's a ridiculously diverse place,
Yeah.
and Michael Mann captures that without really addressing it. It's there. I mean, he's very good at creating the detail. He's really good at presenting what makes the city what it is, and I think you see that with this film. You see it with how he showcases Chicago in Thief, and I guess it's North Carolina in The Insider. I mean, he really has a feel for creating these, for amplifying wherever the place is set in order
Yeah.
to really tell the story. And I think it's most successful in this film. And I mean, he shows you the trains, and
Yeah.
nobody really thinks of L.A. traveling by train,
Well, it's
but
like
it
in
opens it.
Collateral.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fucking the lines,
Mm-hmm.
the blue line and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the freeways and their references to the different, because out here we call them, it's the freeway, right? And out here it's like the 110 is the 110. We put the article in front of the freeway name, in front of the number. Um, in other places, they don't necessarily do that.
Yeah.
Um, and they mentioned the 105. The 105 was relatively new at that point. If you watch a movie like Speed,
Mm-hmm.
I think they were either still working on it, and it features that in the stunt shit that in for fucking Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves' little fucking romance. Like all that is in that, and you see it here, or at least it's referenced. You have the L.A. nightscape, the night sprawl. You've got downtown LA. It's it is definitely one of the characters in the
Yeah.
film, um, and we obviously know when we did however many years ago each of us did an episode on films that we said defined us. This and that line, that attitude, that position, um, definitely was something that impacted you. The position that Robert De Niro has, or his character has in this film, um, where when you can say the line, his position is like he's not going to be tied to anything
Mm-hmm.
that he can't walk away from in 30 seconds flat.
Yeah.
Um, Speak on that a little bit.
Well, that's the code. It's like I like when somebody is defined by specifics, and that's a very powerful thing. And it's in one way it's beautifully realized by Michael Mann as the screenwriter and the director, but it's also the kind of thing where you're setting yourself for the thing that will bring you down, because he goes against his code. And it's not necessarily that he goes against his code for the woman, which I think a lot of people view, like he fucks up because he's with her. He fucks up because he goes against his code when he knows the danger is too great for what he wants to do, the revenge that he needs to seek, whether it's revenge or making things right. Waingro needs to die. Waingro should die. But that step is the fall. It's the point at which where he reaches too far. But in watching this movie, it's like the Neil McCauley character is very interesting because he's a man who has shut himself off from a great deal of the world in order to be the best at what he does. He's not trying to be the best. He's just trying to be as successful and as safe. Um, not physically safe, but you know the kind of safe that I'm talking about. In order to do what he does, where you've taken into account, you've calculated the dangers of a situation, and for the most part, you're ahead of it. And he fucks up. He fucks up. I mean, it's just at the end of the day, he's too close to the end. He's too close to realizing whatever it is that he's imagined his life is going to be, and then he fucks it up because he doesn't know that, because he can't live by his own rule of feeling the heat 30 seconds away, that he can't just let go of whatever. Um, but there's a level of professionalism in the performance, not the performance, in the way the character is written, that makes you realize he's the only one of his crew that is truly and honestly professional. Each one of these other men, whether it's Val Kilmer's character, who has a gambling addiction and a bad marriage, um, Tom Sizemore's character, who is addicted to the rush.
He's Tom Sizemore.
Yeah, well, he's Tom Sizemore. Yeah, he is. Danny Trejo, who is, even as a side character, he is. They use his woman against him. Um, and Wayne Grow, the obvious psychopath that he is, not his crew. But I mean, you could look at that one like, it's like, why would he do business with this cocksucker in the first place? But at the end of the day, it's if somebody is good at what they do and they come recommended, you got to take a chance certain times, right? So
Right.
his association with Wayne Grow always bothered me to a degree. But I guess when you need to get a job done, you have to farm out a job, and you don't always get what you need, and a lot of times it comes back on you. But the thing is, he's a character that he's bullshitting himself. I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. No, if you weren't lonely, this shit wouldn't collapse on you the way it does. He's a tragic
Well,
character in a sense.
well, the thing, in my view, the reason why,
Hmm.
the reason why, yeah, he's tragic because he's trying to do everything the right way, and ultimately he is he leads to his own downfall. But it's not because um, he's not connected, or because he's separate from everyone or whatever. He's not allowed anyone to get to him. He wasn't able. It's not the question of him being able to walk away from the love interest. It's the fact that he couldn't walk away from the revenge.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's exactly what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
And that is the last thing that he should have like walked away from. But that had him in its grips even more than like love. Clearly, because in his mind he's like, well, I'm just gonna fucking bail on the chick at the last minute, and we'll get into the premise for the one person who hasn't seen this movie who's listening to this.
Yeah.
Um, uh, it's as if it's like a magic trick. It's like you think that it's going to be this, and he does leave her, but that was just him falling back into his own patterns because it's the end of the fucking movie, and he's cornered, and he's got to just get out of there. But what really led to his downfall is that he would have made it. He would have had the happy ending. but he made that fucking that sharp turn, and she's like, "Is there time?" And he's like, "Yes." Like, yeah, there's time, and there wasn't. The premise of the film is you've got two crews essentially. You've got a crew of cops, and you've got a crew of criminals, and it's that idea of like the thin blue line.
Mm-hmm.
On the one hand, it's a thin blue line that separates the citizenry from criminals, and that thin blue line is the cops. But there's also the thin line that separates criminals from the cops themselves. And it's a classic case of Pacino's character and De Niro's character are locked in a relationship as adversaries because Pacino is trying to catch De Niro, their characters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that cat and mouse thing, and the criminal is they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Criminals are gonna criminal, I guess, they would probably say nowadays. And Al Pacino is so close to it and so obsessed with it. It's as if he himself is a criminal, because it's like, you are what you chase. That's all you have in your world. Because his fucking life is in a shambles. He's 3 marriages in. And if you believe it, we'll get into that. And if you follow his fucking actor approach or whatever, he's also a fucking cokehead cop.
Mm-hmm. He's at least chipping. He might not be a cokehead, but he's chipping. That's what he said.
Sure. And the idea is that De Niro's character and his crew, they hit an armored truck. And in that process, they had to bring in this other dude from the outside, Waingro. That guy's a fucking psycho and a hothead, and he kills one of the armed guards from the truck. Because now that guy is dead, they are forced to kill all 3 of them, because now you don't want to leave witnesses, because you kill one, like the same charges happen, right? So it's like, I mean, the counts there's gonna be more counts, but at that point it's just fuck it, just eliminate everyone. Then they want to kill Waingro in a different scene, but he escapes, so he's out there. In that process, the bonds or whatever the fuck they stole from the truck, they're trying to sell them back to the guy that they stole them from. And then that leads to another like side drama where ultimately Waingro is working with them, blah, blah, blah. On this side, Al Pacino's in fucking robbery homicide, and he's like, this fucking crew is professional. We need to catch this crew. And the whole movie is about Pacino going after De Niro. Pacino has his fucking gangsters or whatever, and De Niro has his. And it ultimately leads to this crazy bank robbery, and ultimately the confrontation at the end of the film, where post a scene between De Niro and Pacino, where they tell each other, hey, like, what's going to happen is going to happen, but I'm coming after you, and likewise, well, okay, whatever. If I'm boxed in and I got to take you out, I'm going to do the same. All right, cool, we're the same person. Okay, I respect you, but whatever, I'm going to kill you, blah, blah. See you next time. The confrontation at the end happens, and to me, it was like, it was just kind of like, wow, like, fucking spoiler alert, De Niro's character dies, but it was like, I see it as like, Pacino's character also knows that at some point he's probably going to die the same way at his opponent's hand.
Yeah, definitely.
and they're locked in this fucking karmic like dance of repercussions and fucking like things that they do, and in all of that, you have this dance between these two actors with fucking I mean, just the heaviness of each of their the weight of each of their careers, but then the fact that the Godfather stuff, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
one plays the other character's father young, and these are these two giants of method acting from the fucking 70s. Um, one, two of the main pillars of that technique, and all supported by Val Kilmer, Tom Sizemore, character actor, but he would always bring it. Uh, in the 90s, like, we knew Tom Sizemore, Diane Verona, solid, fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
John Voight, cool as fuck in this movie,
The last
even though I
time,
don't like him as a person. Huh?
the last time when John Voight was still a stable, um, somewhat.
Was that his last role?
That's the last thing that I remember I remember him before he turned into a conservative MAGA asshole. Well, a conservative asshole and then a MAGA asshole. I mean, he was a liberal at one point. He was a very like outspoken. I mean, he did Coming Home. He did Rosewood. He did films that were
Oh yeah.
not. Yeah.
Well, he's in Mission Impossible after this, and
Mm-hmm.
he's in other stuff after this. But yeah, that's a separate conversation. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's one of those that that we talk shit about.
Oh yeah.
Fucking Ashley Judd is in this. She's great.
Yeah. Oh, she's wonderful.
Even the people, because there are people in here that I'm like, oh, fucking, like, I feel like they're underused.
Well, I think the story is what it is. It's
Right.
and I'm Dennis Haysbert for
I
me is underused, but it's right for the story. And you're watching him and you're thinking to yourself, well, what the fuck does this have to do with anything in this movie? Is it just when they introduce his story and he's dealing with this cocksucker Bud Cort's restaurant manager? Is it just supposed to show me how tough it is for an ex-con to try to
You
reform
talking about
himself?
Mykelti Williamson?
No, no, no.
No,
Dennis
not
Haysbert.
him. Dennis Haysbert.
Dennis
Yes.
Haysbert. Yeah, where he's in. He's got this fucking asshole.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's beautiful. But when you're watching it, you're like, what the fuck does this have to end? Why am I watching this? What is the purpose of this story? Is it just to contrast the successful criminal from the criminal who is who who is failing in life because they're trying to be reformed. They're trying to make things right and make their woman proud of them.
Mm,
And then it plays out
yeah,
like it does, and it's I
it's
feel for that
foreshadowing too.
character. It is foreshadowing, but it's like I mean I watched it and I thought I really felt bad when he dies. I really feel like, oh shit,
Yeah,
that guy, you know, yes, he's a criminal. Yes, they're fucking bad men doing bad things, but at the same time, this is a guy that was really trying to get his fucking life together, and the pressures of life, um, and what it means to be an ex-con, what it means to try to get your life together in a system that refuses to allow you to, refuses for your sentence and the time that you pay back to society to wipe that slate clean. And he's going to be victimized on the outside. And to see him break in that moment, the hopelessness of the character and the excitement in him doing what he thinks he's born to do, only for it to end like that because it's been set up, because it's all been for shit the entire time. It's incredibly sad. I I felt he was underused, but then when it plays out, you see the purpose of it.
Well, yeah, I
And
mean,
yeah.
I'm not even talking. I'm talking mostly like the crime guys.
Mm-hmm.
So part of De Niro's crew, it's Tom Sizemore's
Mm-hmm.
character. Um, it's Haysbert is the guy who comes in as the driver.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Danny Trejo. But I'm talking about specifically more like the cops side. So like Wes
Well, yeah.
Studi, and I
Mm-hmm.
get it. Like you don't want to. There's no room in the story to branch out, but it's just kind of like knowing who they are and knowing what they can do, and it's like they're already bringing something to it just by being there. So I get that.
Yeah.
Um, but it's one of those things where fuck, like I just wish there was a way to get more. Like so, like
Well,
uh,
we've talked about
Mykelti
Wes Studi.
Williamson,
Yeah,
Ted Levine,
yeah.
fucking
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo Bill,
Mm-hmm.
who at the time I had seen Silence of the Lambs, but I hadn't made the connection yet
Yeah.
that was him. Um, that's like it was just kind of like, oh fuck, like Wes Studi, like
Yeah.
it's a cameo, is what
Well,
it is.
we've talked about Wes Studio and his power on screen, and um, the fact that he elevates things. We talked about these handful of native actors that elevated whatever they were in, whether it was the late great Graham Greene, um, John Trudell, who wasn't technically an actor, but really did some great work in Thunderheart, and of
Yeah,
course Wes Studi. And I mean, if you want to get a look at Wes Studi and Graham Greene, there's a show that FX produced a few years back called Reservation Dogs, and Wes Studi and Graham Greene appear in it, and they're great. They're so great, and I
yeah,
agree with you. I wanted to see more Wes Studi, but I always want to see more Wes Studi. And it's just
yeah.
that's shit in one hand and wish in another, and see which one gets filled first. Because um, part of me is sad to say that we're lucky that we got as much. It's sad to say, but I think we're lucky to have gotten as much from West Studi as we have. I
I mean,
hope somebody has
less
it in their head to
Moluccas.
get more. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he's incredible.
Well, Michael Mann gave us, what he did from that.
Hmm.
Fucking Amy Brenneman plays a good opposite to De Niro, and like because De Niro in relationship scenes, De Niro's always struck me as awkward.
Yeah.
Um, it's like he's too tough.
Hmm.
Um, and so that was a weird and cool like dichotomy, and to try to like to her trying to like soften him up, and that challenge as an actor, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I mean, this shit has Henry Rollins. It has fucking Tone Loc. Uh, it briefly
Yeah.
Jeremy Piven, Hank
Fichtner.
Azaria.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Fichtner, who we just talked about from Go.
Yeah.
Tom Noonan.
Hmm. Tom Noonan. It's very strange to watch him in this. In the chair. It's like that's a real interesting choice because why is
He's
he in the
huge.
chair? You know what I mean? And it adds without ever addressing it. It adds so much to a backstory that we don't know about. I love when
Yeah,
they do that. I love when they when they put something in that they never address, but that you in your head as a viewer just start building the story from.
hmm
That's pretty great. And Noonan sadly just passed a couple of weeks back, maybe a month ago. Um,
Oh really?
oh, you didn't know that? You didn't know? Yeah, he just
No.
passed. I think it was like 70. He was either 73 or 78. I can't remember one of those two. But yeah, I mean, and for those, a lot of people don't even know who the fuck he is. But Manhunter, the Tooth Fairy,
Yeah, he plays Dollarhide,
yeah,
and
he was
the
great
villain.
in. What were you gonna say?
He's the villain in Manhunter.
Mm-hmm.
He's the origin. He's the first villain that is in a Thomas Harris Hannibal Lecter
Mm-hmm.
project or whatever.
Yeah,
Hannibal Lecter is like the side villain guy, and the detective or the FBI or whatever guy is trying to get the other guy. That's
yeah.
him.
Yeah, that's him. I mean, he's always good, always good. Just sadly did not. I don't know. Sadly, maybe. I mean, he had the career that he had, and the performances that he shows up in are pretty spectacular, wonderful little moments that you get from him. Whether it be that film or The Pledge, or I think
Yeah, The
he did a
Pledge.
yeah The Pledge. He's wonderful in The Pledge. He did a film about. I think he did a couple of Mammoth projects. I can't remember, but he's one of those guys that you always want to just look up and find out more about because he just really delivered. Yeah, but you're right. It's a who's who of
Natalie Portman. I
Natalie.
know I
Yeah,
mentioned her briefly earlier.
yeah,
She's good for that. What being that,
hmm yeah,
um, that troubled kid. Yeah, it's this cast that it's just kind of it carries this big story because it's in a way it feels epic. Um,
hmm
since we're in the '90s, let's talk shit about Tarantino.
yeah,
It feels like what he wanted in the Hateful Eight, this fucking ensemble
hmm
and this big movie, but it's not sweeping over generations and over like time and space. It's just like more contained. Some which he I think did a better job at in Kill Bill. Like um, this feels epic. This feels tragic, like you talked about. It's big.
yeah. But why is that? Because, or for me at least, the reason for that is Michael Mann is creating true to life characters that exist in this world, whereas Tarantino is creating cartoon, real world Marvel characters. There's no. The older I get, the more that I watch Tarantino, the more I become dissatisfied with the characters that he creates. And it's weird because I enjoy the movies. I like his films, but I never feel like he's ever been an original filmmaker. And I really felt that when we were talking about Clerks last week. When whatever you want to say about Kevin Smith, he was original. Tarantino, you never get the sense that anything that you're witnessing on screen is comes from an original idea, original place.
Well,
It's
yeah,
just
it's the art of the remix.
yeah.
This shit is remixed. Yeah,
Well, you're watching the film thinking, where did he get that from? Where did he get that from? Where did he
yeah,
get that from? I mean, and if you're a movie lover, that's what you're going through. If you're just somebody that's sitting in there, some kid who has never seen films, which I think is even worse because you're imagining that you think that all of this shit just comes out of Tarantino's imagination, and it doesn't. With Michael Mann, you do get the sense it's almost as if I don't know what Michael Mann's background was before he was a filmmaker, but he seems to me it wouldn't surprise me if he had been a reporter. It wouldn't have surprised me if he did the whatever it was that Sam Fuller did where he would he would write on a beat. He would talk about gangsters or any kind of criminal shit that was going on, writing really fast, knocking it out at a typewriter for the afternoon edition. That's the way I see Michael Mann because there's something very human and very real about the characters that he creates. These are real people that you can see, and you see that conversation, but you see these cops hanging out after the shift. You see DeNiro and his crew having dinner together, like because everything is a family. Whatever you work with, there's
yeah.
you're going to create some kind of familiarity um, among people who do the same thing as you do, and want to share a common experience. I mean, they work together, so it's the old idea of work hard, play hard, and enjoy the spoils. Um, you don't get that from Tarantino. Everything is everything is calculated and designed to be quirky and cool. Whereas I don't think these guys are necessarily obviously cool. They're just these are bad motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And you watch
Yeah,
them.
they have that wallet.
Yeah, that exactly. They and it's genuine. It's real. So like, I
Little Fonzies.
yeah no. Hey, you know what? When I watch this, I just think to
They're gonna be
myself,
cool.
I love De Niro, but this is not a good man. I don't know what you would call him psychologically. He's not a. Is he a sociopath? He's not a psychopath, definitely. But I mean, he seems to me to be the true life Parker from the Richard Stark novels, where it's just a consummate professional who doesn't want to commit violence, but if violence is the only answer in the moment of the job, you kill the bastard that's sitting in front of you. Um, and
Yeah.
I think that's apparent in this film. A consummate professional who who has the difficulty of knowing that his crew, although all solid guys that he probably cares about, they all have some kind of a weakness that's going to ultimately break them down. And you could look at it and you could say, well, Chirito dies, um, Danny Trejo dies, and Val Kilmer's he survives.
Yeah.
But ask yourself, how long before his string plays out?
Well, we'll see because there's a part two.
That's a prequel.
It's both.
Is it?
My yeah.
Oh,
My
okay.
understanding is that it's Godfather 2 basically.
Okay.
Um
Hmm.
so it my limited understanding is that and it's interesting because someone had just told me about it recently. And because it was on my mind because for this, and so I guess I must have brought it up, and uh, a coworker was like, Heat 2, and I'm like, what? And then Michael Mann adapted. Uh, he developed a novel, a novelization of it as a part two, which is a prequel, but I think it also carries the story forward. And then he adapted that into a screenplay, and apparently DiCaprio is involved, and potentially what's his name,
Adam
uh,
Driver.
Adam Driver.
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
that's also. I think he's the young De Niro's character,
Hmm.
and uh, what's his name, um, American Psycho, um,
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. I think
Hmm.
also. I think. Um, so yeah, we'll see how they become what they become, and I don't know if in the future there's an older Pacino like mentoring at some point someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, we'll see. We'll see how much yelling he's done, and if whoever he's talking about has a big ass or whatever he says in this movie. Uh, let's talk about. I want to talk about the shootout, but
Hmm.
let's talk about the scene. Let's talk about the scene.
Yeah. The
Oh,
coming
but even
together.
before that, what do you know about what? Now that we talked a little bit about the sequel. What do you know about LA Takedown? Because this is a remake of a fucking TV pilot movie.
Hmm. Yeah.
Tell us.
Oh, what I know about it, what it was I think it was around the time of Miami Vice, and because Michael Mann wasn't a movie guy per se. His big hit was Miami Vice, creating that, and I believe show running it for the first few years, which
He
was I
created it.
he created it. Now, I've never watched Miami Vice. I've never seen an episode of Miami Vice. I've seen clips of it. I've seen pieces of it. It never appealed to me because it always looked as though it was all style, and I had no real interest in that. I guess it was undercover cops in Miami, the
Yeah,
drug trade. I don't know
yeah.
if you watched it, but it didn't really
I
seem
think I
interesting to me.
think I'd seen maybe an episode or two.
Okay, so you've only seen a
Long time
few
ago.
episodes, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It just didn't appeal to me. I think it was because it just seemed like Flash. But that's what built him. He had already done a couple of films, I think, off the power of Miami Vice. He got Thief and then Manhunter, or Manhunter before. I can't remember what it was, but he was making a name for himself, and I think it was probably Thief that got him critical acclaim, and then Last of the Mohicans that got him a little bit of critical as well as financial success. Because I think that movie was really big, even though I saw it a few years back and we talked about it, and I was really disappointed. I was really it kind of made me sad because it was like, wow, here's another white guy getting it wrong, for me at least. Um, Regardless of how good Wes Studi is in it, the movie itself is just not. It's just obvious. But he got. They like the idea of an LA takedown because it has all the elements there. You have cops, you have robbers, you have violence, you have betrayal, you have the weakness of these characters and what ultimately how it's going to bring each of them down. And they produced this pilot for NBC, and I guess it just didn't go. But I've seen pieces of it, and I'm just like, I mean, we're going to talk about it eventually. We're just not going to talk about it now because I don't have the. You got to be in a certain mindset to watch something, especially when you've seen it better.
Yeah.
Why am I going to watch a shittier version of it? Well, it serves a purpose for this show, so at a point we will do it. But it was the kind of thing that was almost like a calling card for this, and the fact that he was able to get the fact that he was able to make that and then go back to that canvas, make it a bigger canvas, and get two stars like De Niro and Pacino. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, the understanding that the two of them would come together for the first time, sharing the screen for the first time, because Godfather 2, they're never on screen together. Um,
Yeah.
and their careers had kind of paralleled each other for the longest. There were a lot of times when De Niro was up. De Niro was considered for the Pacino role. Pacino was considered for the De Niro role. Probably most famously, Pacino for Goodfellas, and Pacino, which is
Really?
interesting. Yeah, yeah, and I I would like to have seen that alternate universe that I talk about with different actors. And Pacino considers it a great. He considers it one of his mistakes as in his acting career, that he didn't take that role because he didn't want to get typecast. Well, at that point, he'd already been typecast. But I think De Niro was considered for Scarface at one point too. But
Yeah. What was he? So what was he doing? Like Sea of Love, or what was that
well,
around that time?
uh, he had a box office bomb with Revolution, which I think it was set during the American Revolution. It wasn't the French Revolution, American Revolution, and the idea of Pacino in the American Revolution it just didn't capture audiences in that way. Oftentimes an actor imagines that they can do more than what they can when visually it just doesn't appear. So I think the failure of that film put him in the woods for a long time by his own desire. and he disappeared. Probably like 4 or 5 years, and then he came back with Sea of Love. And Sea of Love was, if you go back to that film, it's really well made. It's a really good, it's a real good neo noir thriller. And you're not sure what's going on. I think the ending they fuck it up a little bit, but he's great in it as this burnt out cop with all of the obvious burnt out cop issues, broken marriage, alcoholism. It's all a precursor to what they're going to end up here. But he's more tired in that film. He's more of an insomniac Pacino than what you would get here. And but they were both at the peak of their careers, I think. Pacino had just won the Oscar for Married Son of a Woman.
Son of a Woman.
Yeah, and De Niro had just come off of Goodfellas. He had proven himself with comedy, with Midnight Run, and then he was having a really good beginning of the decade.
He had done Cape Fear, right?
I think he did Cape Fear in '94, and then he would do Casino right after this. So it was Cape Fear '94, Heat '95, and then Casino '96, and then he wouldn't work with Scorsese again for 25 years, I think, or 20.
Yeah, because then well, see, that's the thing is that I want to get into that scene, but it was such a fucking big deal.
Yeah.
That I remember the next time that they fucking got together,
it was
like,
huge
oh shit,
failure. Yeah.
Right? What was that movie called?
It was called Righteous Kill. It was by a guy named John.
Wait, is that it? Are you sure it's Righteous Kill?
Yeah,
is that
Righteous Kill. Horrible film.
I don't think. Isn't it something else?
I have to look it up.
I was gonna say Righteous Kill, but I thought it was I thought Righteous Kill was De Niro and fucking that English bald guy.
English bald guy? Which English bald guy?
Yeah, he played like an action movies where he's like a driver.
Oh no, that's the Mechanic.
Is that what that is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Righteous Kill was 2008 by John Avnet. Avnet did he did Risky Business, Less Than Zero, Fried Green Tomatoes. He did no. He did what did he do as a director? Fried Green Tomatoes. Yeah. 88 minutes, which was horrible. It was horrible. It was really bad.
And I think between the two, I think that Pacino is a more versatile actor than De Niro. But from what I remember, and it's been years, I felt I was more disappointed with Pacino.
Career-wise, or the movie?
The movie.
Okay. Well, I mean, as you watched it, if you have the misfortune to watch Righteous Kill, and I don't recommend it for any reason other than to be disappointed, and if you start admiring these men too much, yeah, watch Righteous Kill and it'll put shit in perspective. It's a really bad movie, and they both look like they're showing up for a paycheck. I mean, that movie was so bad that it was. I don't know if it was Pacino or De Niro who went to the other and said, "We really fucked up. We should really do this Irishman film."
Killer Elite is the one that I'm thinking of.
Oh,
with,
the Killer Elite, yeah. That's a remake
that's
a remake of Sam Peckinpah's film with, I think that was Duvall and Jimmy Caan. So,
okay, yeah, you
Killer Elite, yeah.
Yeah, you don't do that. Oh.
No, you don't. I mean, that's just a bad. But also that was a time when, and Paul Schrader is full of shit in a lot of cases, but he did say something that I thought was pretty interesting and on point about De Niro's choices. That there was a time when De Niro really made great films, and there were like 3 or 4 years between films because that's how long it took for him to prepare for a role. And then in the 90s, boom, he just started making movies. And a lot of that was...
He had some
He had some what?
He had some mishaps in there. because he was just
Oh,
fucking turning them over.
I think the majority, I think with the, and it pains me to say it, but I think with the exception of Jackie Brown, there were in the late '90s there was nothing of his that was worth seeing. Nothing. I mean, there was
Yeah, I
up
mean,
until
like
'90. Yeah. Hmm?
I remember I had high expectations of the score because that was gonna be
Yeah.
fucking Brando, fucking De Niro,
And Ed Norton.
fucking and Angela
Yeah.
Bassett,
Hmm.
um and I was like, nah.
Nope.
Um, uh,
But he was
Ronin
Ronin. I
was
liked. You don't like Ronin?
it was fun, but it wasn't like, oh my God, you know.
No, it was fun. But I mean,
Jackie Brown and Copland were good.
Copland was
Um,
good, but that was an ensemble.
yeah, it was
So
an
all
ensemble.
you have to do is show up for that one and knock it out because, as and I can hear myself saying it. I'm rolling my own eyes when I say it. Um, Stallone was doing the heavy lifting in that one.
Yeah, he
The
was, and that was his
obvious.
fucking. So he was fucking great in that
He's
movie.
great in that movie, and the fact that it failed drove him back to Rambo and Rocky. It was like, oh, I need my
Yeah,
security blanket again because nobody's going to accept me at this. And it was like he was so wrong because Stallone is great in that, and that's an ensemble. Robert Patrick, Ray Liotta, Annabelle Sciorra,
Harvey Keitel.
Harvey fucking Keitel, Mykelti Williamson is in that. I think no, not Mykelti Williamson. Who's in that? I can't remember the actor's name. Uh, there's so many
Kathy
of them.
Moriarty's in it.
Kathy
Um,
Moriarty,
that
yeah.
was like her coming back from yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
There's but then De Niro was doing shit like Analyze This is good, but Analyze That is embarrassing. The Fokker films, fucking embarrassing.
Meet the Parents, fucking all
Yeah,
that bullshit.
all
Like
that
yeah,
shit.
that's when he fell off, dude.
Well,
Like
he became a real estate mogul. So Tribeca, and
yeah,
he bought up all that land, and then they started building on that, and then he started needing to make movies in order to pay for that shit. And there's a handful like Mad Dog and Glory. If you've never seen Mad Dog and Glory, that's a wonderful little film directed by John McNaughton, who did Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
oh,
That is a Chicago movie. If you've ever lived in Chicago, if you've ever spent nights in Chicago, that's a Chicago movie. Bill Murray gives a great performance as a gangster. It's weird because it's flipped. Bill Murray is a gangster who wants to be a comedian, and De Niro is this shy, kind of quiet police photographer. David Caruso's in it as a real kind of like good buddy asshole. Kathy, what the fuck is her name? Kathy Bates. No, not, is her name Kathy Bates?
Kathy Bates is fucking Misery.
That's Misery. Kathy. There was another Kathy from the '90s who was in Jackknife. She did a show with Tom Skerritt called Picket Fences. I can't remember Kathy. I can't remember. And Uma Thurman. Great little film. Love that film. We got to talk about it one time. I mean, it's really different. But
Well,
but like but De
yeah,
Niro and Pacino was already turning into the hoo-ha Pacino.
but that's true. But he did have a good run. He had a
He had a great
fucking
run.
solid
He
run
had
in
a
the
fucking
nineties.
great run.
He had
And
Glenn Ross.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, look, all right, he fucked up with when they all fucked up with Godfather 3. That's just
Robert Duvall
oh,
didn't fuck
that's what
up.
he was doing. That's what he was doing while De Niro was doing fucking
Yeah.
Goodfellas.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because he had already done Sea of Love.
Mm-hmm. Sea of Love was like
Um,
86, 87, somewhere around there. And Godfather 3 was 89. Goodfellas was 90. So I
yeah,
remember
and then
Goodfellas was released, I think, late summer of 90. And The Godfather was released Christmas of 89. That's the way I remember it.
there you go. But like, look at Glenn Ross,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Carlito's Way,
Yeah. Carlitos
Son
Way
of a Woman.
still a fucking incredibly underrated film, Carlitos Way.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He did a movie called City Hall. I don't know if you saw that.
I've never seen it, but I hear
It's
he's
a
good in
drama.
it. Howard Berger, I think,
Yeah, I mean
directed that. Yeah.
it's John Cusack. It's I think it's a solid drama.
Hmm.
He did he did Donnie Brasco.
Great in Donnie Brasco. Yeah.
Um, Devil's Advocate is like a little bit of a toss. It's like a little bit of a mixed bag, but
Devil's Advocate is a guilty pleasure, if you want to call it. For me,
yeah,
and I don't believe in guilty pleasures, but based on the definition of a guilty pleasure, I would qualify it as that because it's
yeah,
just it's pulp, and not even no, it's not pulp. It's just it's campy. It's a little bit campy for me, where it's big and stupid, and
yeah.
Keanu is expected to act, and he just can't pull that off, and Pacino is so all over the fucking place, but he's a fun devil. But it's not a good film. Plus, Taylor Hackford, who is not a good director. With the exception
Fine.
of with the exception of Chuck Berry, Hail Hail Rock and Roll, which
Yes,
you got
yes.
Chuck Berry and Keith Richards.
You
Ed
argue. Yeah,
Wood could have made a great movie out of Chuck Berry, Hail Hail
yeah,
Rock and Roll. Yeah. So
yes.
yeah.
But at least it was a performance that he was interested in doing.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and somewhere in there, I remember he did Insomnia. Speaking of Al Pacino with Insomnia, um,
Which is really, really good. Really good.
yeah, with fucking Robert Williams, and it's
Yeah.
fucking like crazy as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
He did The Insider.
Oh,
From
phenomenal.
what I remember, that was like very like critically acclaimed
Mm-hmm.
because
Nobody saw it, but yeah, it was critically
because
acclaimed.
Russell Crowe was having his run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a movie
Um,
that should have been bigger, but it was. Who wants to go see a movie? Who wants to go see 3 hours about bringing down the fucking tobacco
Cigarettes.
industry? Nobody wants that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking yeah. Russell Crowe
Yeah.
like not like moving away from the whatever tough guy heartthrob whatever that
Well,
he
you
was
know
gonna
what it
become.
is. Fat, glasses, and balding. That's not. Nobody
Yeah,
wants that. Nobody wants that. Except you and me, who are like, yeah, let's see this motherfucker in the range that he has, and he's good.
yeah,
Yeah, I want to see that.
absolutely.
I want to see this
And
fat bastard put on the pounds and play this character. I loved it.
yeah, and he did.
Yeah.
Um, and then somewhere in there he did any. I remember De Niro was in Any Given Sunday, the
No,
Oliver
the
Stone film,
Pacino.
and
Pacino
I
did
think
that.
yeah. But what did I say?
You said De Niro, but Pacino, yeah.
Oh yeah, Pacino, and then from there it kind of like I think that's when it like so whatever the order of these movies is, it was in that area that when it for him it like tipped off
Yeah.
as well. Um, because I don't remember him having done anything after that that was good um until The Irishman.
And let's. I'll double down on The Irishman, although it does have
That's
that.
like 20 years.
What, The Irishman?
No, no, I'm saying like from from the shit that we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
till The Irishman is almost 20 years of like
Yeah.
if my timeline is right in my head,
Mm-hmm.
it's about 20 years of shit that like he was probably in that I have no concept of what he was in, if like what he did, how much of it he did.
Yeah.
Um,
But there's also the fact that they were going into their 60s. Um, the industry itself was changing as far as what movie theaters. People act like this movie theater shit just started happening. No, this shit's been going on for a long time. Marvel, I think Marvel hit in 2009, and that was the beginning of the end of. That wasn't even the beginning of them. That was basically hammering in the last fucking nail. That would make it impossible for other films to anything of substance, anything of any kind of personal film became more and more difficult to finance and to distribute. And that's when you started seeing both De Niro and and Pacino starting to make straight to video. You know, there's a movie with Robert De Niro and John Travolta that went straight to video. That says something. Yeah, you know what I
when
mean?
was this movie made?
This movie was made in 2003. I can't even remember what it is.
What's it
2000.
called?
I don't know. It's called Shit. It's called Shit on Film. It's I don't. all I know is that they're
Let me
survivalists,
Google that.
and De Niro is the good guy, and Travolta is hunting him in the
In
forest.
Tribeca.
Yeah, burn the whole fucking thing down. It's a horrible. It just looked horrible. I've never seen it, but it just looked horrible to me, and it was almost embarrassing to know that these two are stuck in this waste of what cinema once was, and that's why, like you and I have talked off mic, and maybe we've talked on mic, but I haven't gone to the movies, to a real movie theater, to see a new movie in months. And I don't see myself going back anytime soon. I'm not excited about anything that's being released in a theater because nothing is worth taking the time to go see. And I'm just falling deeper and deeper into shit that I know is good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, yeah,
That's
I'm gonna start digging into Betty Davis. I gotta watch All About Eve, and um, a little bit of Joan Crawford. I gotta watch what she do. What did she won an Oscar for Miss Myra Brecken? No, what the fuck was it called? Mildred Pierce. I want to watch that again.
yeah, yeah,
I want to
yeah.
watch early Hitchcock, Rebecca, and I want to go back to all these movies, because there's just nothing worth going to a theater to watch unless it's a re-release, unless it's a revival, and even then, it's like I don't the effort. Fuck it. I'm. Did you find the De Niro Travolta film?
No, I didn't even look. I didn't even fucking look, dude. Um,
It's such a
we
bad. It's horrible. It's fucking horrible.
we talked about we've talked around it, and we've said, all right, the scene is so fucking amazing. It's well, okay,
Hmm.
let's talk about the scene. Before we wrap up, I want to talk about this, and I want to touch on the shootout because
Yeah.
that's worth us talking about as well. In your opinion, um what is it that makes the scene so? And I've heard all this bullshit. I've heard stuff about like they they hated each other and this and that, so
No,
they actually
this
it's
is
not
not
them.
Betty Davis, Joan Crawford.
Yeah.
They actually like
Speaking
each
of
other.
that,
I
yeah.
think they're not. I think there's an admiration for each. I genuinely believe that they like each other, and that um, it's not to say that they don't hate other actors. I'm sure that there are actors out there that they fucking hate, but I think they're at this point in their careers, or at least when they were doing this film, there was an appreciation for what the other did, and an understanding that there was a professionalism. I think professionals really do admire each other. And when you know somebody else comes to it with both the same passion, appreciation, and respect for the craft as you have, it's difficult to dislike them. And that's the angle that I take on that. So when you see these two coming together, I don't see it as one actor trying to blow the other out of the water. If anything, they're both going way subtle with this, which makes the
Yeah.
scene itself even better. Because this is not. I mean, De Niro is pretty restrained throughout the film, except for these moments of violence when he just beats the shit out of Waingro, or has to, even when he kills William Fichtner's character, it's very cool. It's calculated. He's looking at him. There's a sense of disgust for this man, but it's not the same as the murder of Waingro. It's
Hmm.
watch that. There's De Niro does some very subtle things with it, where he's killing William Fichtner is professional. Killing
Yeah.
Waingro is fucking retribution, and you can
Yeah.
feel
And
it.
he's
You
like,
can,
look at
yeah.
me. Yeah.
Look at
And
me.
Ringo's
Yeah,
a serial killer. Yeah.
yeah,
He
absolutely.
kills prostitutes, and yeah, he's that character that there is no, like as you said earlier, he has to
Mhm.
die. Like there's no ambiguity about that
Oh,
character
he
at all.
needs to. Did you like the way that? Well, we'll get to the conversation, but did you like the way that Michael Mann showed you that he was a serial killer, not just in the conversation? Because the hooker that you see him with is different than the dead body that they find.
Well, I wasn't sure if it was her. If she just looked different because I did
The braids, the
I
braids.
I The braids.
The braids. The braids.
Yeah,
Did
I
you
mean,
notice that? Yeah.
I did notice, and I was like, oh, she looks different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like it's a different one that they're finding. They're gonna,
Yeah.
you know,
They haven't even
yeah,
found that one yet. They haven't
that's a great
found that
point.
one. Yeah.
That's a yeah, that's a fucking great point.
Yeah.
But they did mention that he had killed. They're like, we found another one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did they say
Yeah.
something like that?
Same MO, and
Um,
when we find
yeah,
when we test the sperm, we're gonna find, but it's also another black hooker. So
yeah,
he's got a, and it's like it's oh my god, and that's the kind of thing where I'm talking about. They don't make it. Man doesn't make a big deal out of it. He doesn't throw it in your face like this becomes the story or nothing. It's just like this is one more reason why this cocksucker has to die, and I'm glad that he dies in the way that he does. I wish he had suffered more, but he needed to die. So back to the conversation. When you sit, I mean, I've acted this conversation in
in the class,
acting classes,
really.
and it's fun because it's you trying to figure out a way to do it that isn't what you've seen,
That's
and
hard.
it's almost impossible. You're gonna do it.
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's so
That's
fucking
why
yeah.
a lot of like instructors, they would be like, you do something from a play, even if
Hmm.
the play has been produced like on screen,
Yeah,
or adapted. Don't do something from a movie because of that very
yeah.
reason.
Hmm. Yeah. We pissed off our acting coach because they gave us the scene, which was about 2.5 pages, maybe 3 pages. But I looked at the guy that I was working with, and I was like, "Hey, how do you feel if we do the entire scene?" And it was kind of an asshole thing to do because you're doing it in class. But we did the entire scene, and the acting coach got pissed off at us.
Yeah.
He was like, "That's not what I gave you." And we were just like, yeah, well, we were having fun. We were having fun with this shit. It's how you not gonna do it? You give me DeNiro and Pacino, and I did the smart thing. I played the Pacino character because if I had done the DeNiro character, it would just been me doing DeNiro. It would have just been. It
Yeah.
would have just been. It took me years to recognize that about myself, but this was, and this was from probably from Midnight Run in '88 to this is when all of my worst De Niro mannerisms came into play. Like back then, I would consciously do him all the time until the point it became I'm not even conscious of it anymore. It's just
So
what I do. I
des-
just do it.
describe that. Describe that.
That obsession.
That product. That what?
The obsession? I don't know. I can't.
Well, the process of
Hmm.
like, how did that happen? To the best
Um,
of what you can reflect on yourself, you know?
okay, so if you go psychologically into it, the De Niro, how they always talk about every actor plays basically the same character, or they've always claimed that he plays basically the same character, which I think is bullshit. But there
Yeah.
are a lot of similarities in a number of the characters. When I watched Midnight Run, I saw somebody who was angry all the time, very short tempered, but had a code and had a certain honor that he believed in. And it took me years to realize this, but I recognized that in my dad, where unconscionable prick, very hard to deal with, very stubborn, hard headed, mean spirited at points, but there was an honor there where he's not going to go against what he believes. And I didn't realize it until I saw De Niro with a in Meet the Fockers where he had this short haircut, and I thought he looked a lot like my dad. I thought he looked a lot like him. So I guess I was transferring something that I saw on screen to something that I grew up with that eventually I tried to emulate because it was cooler on screen. That's the best way
Mm.
that I can describe it. Where it was something, and like I've talked about my dad in the past incessantly. Um, I think the core of that is he might be a fucking asshole. He might be hard to get along with, but he doesn't get fucked with.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
for
that's a
me,
plus.
it's
Yeah.
that is
It's worth
the
it.
yeah, that's what do you call it though? That's the sacrifice that you make. Personal relationships versus I'm not gonna let this motherfucker fuck with me. I'm not gonna let somebody treat me like I'm an asshole. And that was so yeah, that was the thing. So it became a big part of my life, and it was something that even now I find myself doing, and I find myself trying to stop doing it. But it is what it is. There's not much. But when you watch this scene, I'm on a number of different levels. I'm overwhelmed by okay, number one, how well it fits into the film and how
Yes.
necessary it was to keep them away from each other throughout the film. This scene
Right.
is amplified because of number one, the 20 some odd years that it takes, the 20 odd years that it takes for these two great actors to come together like this. Because you got to remember, Mean Streets was 73, and what was it? The Godfather is 73?
72 or 73, I
72,
think.
73, yeah. So, and that's each of them becoming stars. Pacino had a couple of films before that, but nothing like The Godfather. And De Niro blew up the screen as Johnny Boy. Um, so people who love movies and people who love these two actors were wanting to see this. It's like everybody knew this was going to happen, but nobody believed that it could actually happen
Yeah.
because they were too. Both of them were too big, and you imagine that the egos were too great for them to come together
Yeah.
to do something like this. And what I feel like when I watch this film, it's that back and forth which adds, like you mentioned it, you hinted at it, the maybe the competitive relationship between the two actors adds to their real performances, but it does a hell of a lot towards your psyche watching the movie. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, because
then,
there's
yeah,
subtext. Like, go
absolutely.
ahead. No, go
No,
ahead.
no, go ahead, please. You were.
When, yeah, there's and we've talked about this. We might have to do a little side, like a mini episode where we do like half an hour and we actually break down the scene, but like moment
Hmm.
to moment.
Oh yeah, because there's a
Where
lot of there's like a little. It's almost like Quint. There's a little movie right there.
yeah, I mean, and we've talked about that with certain scenes, and I mean,
Hmm.
like shitting on Tarantino. We could do that with the fucking the the look at the brains on Brad scene, the
Hmm.
fucking yes you did. Like there are certain scenes that I think we could break down and really like have a good chance of like digging into them. So
Yeah.
that's something that we may do in the near future or the near future. But there's subtext when they're rivals, they're contemporaries as actors.
Hmm.
In the film, they're rivals and contemporaries, and they can sense that there's very little difference between them. There's more. They have more. It seems like they have more in common than they even realize themselves.
Yeah.
I think they see aspects of each other, aspects of themselves in each other. Um, and now it's like this moment where fuck. Okay, like yeah, I respect you, fine. Um, but I'm also like I'm in my universe, I'm fucking the top dog, and in yours, you may be yours, but like now, there may come a time, and there will come a time, because neither of us is gonna stop. There will come a time when we're gonna have to fucking like go up against each other. It's very similar to in that 13 Assassins movie where the two old
Hmm. Yeah.
swords students, Shinzaimon, and I don't remember the other the character's name. One is like has his honor and his code, and the other one has his honor and his code, which is to serve the Lord.
Yeah.
Um,
Regardless of his feelings towards the Lord.
regardless of whether in the big picture what the Lord is doing is right or wrong or whatever, it's like that's not for him to judge. He's gonna just do his part.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, okay, until next time, and it's that thing, and it's like, it's coming, and ultimately they do meet in that second scene, which is the shootout, and well, not the shootout, not the big shootout, but the shootout between them.
Mm-hmm.
And they shake or hold hands while De Niro dies. But here at the table, they know that fucking disaster might befall either or both of them, but they're not going to stop. This is what they do.
Yeah.
And when Pacino very much is like, yeah, like you said, he's not going to yell in the scene. They're holding back because this scene encapsulates the central conflict of the whole film, and it encapsulates the relation. This defines their relationships to themselves and everything else in their world. All the other characters, everything. Everyone else is just on the side. It's all to this, and it's in that moment. It's as if everything that came before was to reach that point, and you're watching that. Obviously, when I first watched it, I didn't know this, but subsequently, you're like, fuck. All as actors, all of their career, all of those films, all of those performances, all of that has led up to reputationally. It's like people are like, fuck, like this is gonna be, and that's why For Righteous Kill was such a disappointment. And then for The Irishman, it was such. You say that one of them went to the other and said, "We fucked up. Let's do this." When it was like, okay, Scorsese, back with De Niro, back with Pesci, with fucking Al Pacino thrown in.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You have like this whole fucking like filmography of American mob culture movies, like from The Godfather, all of Scorsese's shit, fucking Donnie Brasco, like, fucking Once Upon a Time in New York, fucking all that, and Dick Tracy, fucking, if you want to go wacky with it,
I love Dick Tracy. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking the Al Capone,
Untouchables.
Shit, what?
Al Capone.
Untouchables. Yeah. All of that stuff, and it's not a mob movie, but this is like part of that. This is part of, because even from the Pacino side, you've got the fucking like, you're gonna get in there the Donnie Brasco, you're gonna get the fucking the Scarface, you're gonna get the fucking Carlito's Way, like all of that, and it's just there at that table, and it reminds me so much of like, like Al Pacino at the table with fucking Sollozzo and McCluskey in Godfather, and like you tell De Niro like, just don't let him go to the bathroom,
you're right,
and you're like, fuck these guys, you know what I mean, like everything, and it's like it's to the point where they don't even have to do much. But of course they do, and they do it in a way that it seems like they're not doing a lot. I really liked when it shifts when De Niro's like, well, there's a flip side to that coin, or whatever he says, and he's like, there's also everything I bring to it.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like you're gonna do what you're gonna have to do, and I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. But
Yep.
it's almost like acknowledging we are both powerless to this. This is who we are and what we have to do. And it's not dismissive of the responsibility that they have, but this is the life that each of them has chosen. And just being there face to face, although there might be a level of respect, um, this is both of our jobs. You know,
Hmm.
I do what I do.
And
I
at that
take
point,
down,
it's their
yeah,
destiny.
and yeah, and that's what's going to happen. And while you're watching it, that first time, if you're watching it, you're really not. That's how good Michael Mann is as a filmmaker, and the films of this type are, where Pacino might not get him. It might be De Niro winning out on this. You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't. You really don't. The first time you've seen it, you do, and it's hard to go back to that first. It really is hard to go back to that first time. But you if you're honest about it, it's so well structured. It's so honest about the failings of both the police and the criminals, but also their plus, their positives, each of them. Um, because De Niro is there's something about him that stands out as a during the commentary for Used Cars, Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, they were talking about the film, and they said Billy Wilder told them, that's how old these filmmakers are. Billy Wilder
Yeah.
told them that if you write a character who is good at his job, people are going to admire him. And you find that with the De Niro character. It's like whatever you want to think about him as a criminal and as a killer, and he deserves to go to prison or he deserves to get shot at the end. If you are a true student of human nature, I think it'd be very difficult to just dismiss Neil as a violent hood. He's very good at what he does.
Hmm.
He's
And he's like
focused.
responsible.
Yeah. And like his crew, he knows enough to assemble a crew that is good enough for what he needs them to do. But he also knows human nature being what it is. This shit's gonna bring me down. There is that understanding. I
And you
mean,
do it enough times, yeah.
yeah. I mean, look at the way he goes to. Uh, there's certain things that he does. The way he goes to Ashley Judd's character and says, "If you will give him another chance, and if he fucks up, I will stake you wherever you want to go." That's a fucking
Yeah.
professional. That is a
Yeah.
professional, and you get the impression he is willing to do that. He's not just going to kill her, which in any other movie you would think, yeah, he's going to kill this bitch. But no,
Yeah.
you think this man has a certain level of honor that I can believe in. So when you watch those two sitting across from each other having this conversation, they're not playing chess. They're not play whatever they want to. They're not moving the pieces trying to get over on each other. It's the most honest moment of the film because they're telling each one is telling the other who they are, what they bring to it, and the lengths to which they will go in order to be successful at the job itself.
Yep.
And I think
Yeah.
that's what makes that scene so powerful. Yeah, it's two of the greatest actors of their generation coming together. Yeah, it's beautifully written and really well directed, but it's the honesty of the conversation to both characters. You do not feel that it's kind of weird because throughout the movie they're bullshitting themselves. Like De Niro is kind of bullshitting himself into believing that he doesn't need the way this woman comes into his life. He has bullshitted himself into believing that he's all right being alone. And the Pacino character is bullshitting himself into believing that, yeah, I can have a family.
Exactly.
You know, that's just like, but it takes each one of these assholes to point it out to the other one, where they both know it. But yeah, you're just gonna leave this woman? That's pretty fucking vacant. He was like, yeah, it is what it is. Until you have to see him do it, and then he's looking at her, and there's that moment, and he's like, nah, I gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
just, yeah. I mean, there's that scene is just. There have been times when I've at my shit job, in many of my shit jobs, where I play that scene over in my head, and I act out both parts because that's the only thing that's going to get me through the day. I know how ridiculous that sounds, but I play both parts. I do it. I'm talking to myself. It was great during COVID because you're covered up. Nobody can see you. You know.
You're able to do a flip. You're like, there's
Oh
a
yeah.
flip side of that.
There's a flip side to that coin. It's scary how fucked up movies make you when yeah.
Nice.
Between this and Quint's speech, yeah, I got a series of problems that it would take a team of therapists to dig into. So I recognize it.
That,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh
Now
my God.
the shootout.
Hmm.
Um,
You know what?
in
When I was watching that before we get started on that. There's something I wanted to ask
yeah,
you. You were probably
yeah,
what, 15, 16 years old when this movie came out?
yeah.
Okay. Living in LA, maybe because it was before the internet became so much a factor of our lives. But I'm wondering, do you remember them shooting this down there? Were people talking about it? Because they shot that shootout. I think it took them a month of Sundays in order to get that down. And I can't
I
imagine
didn't hear.
you didn't hear about it, huh? Wow.
I didn't hear anything about it. I didn't know anything about it. I'll
Hmm.
tell you this though.
Yeah.
And this is interesting. Being from LA. 2 years later,
Hmm.
there was an actual shootout that was very reminiscent to this. And those of us who had seen this movie were like, "Oh fuck, did you fucking?" Because there was a North Hollywood bank robbery and shootout. I don't know if you remember this
I remember
or if
this.
you've
Yeah,
heard of it.
I heard about it. Yeah.
Um, it like that's what I associate with the shootout, and it was later. So the movie precedes this, and I don't know that the movie like I don't think they were trying to reproduce this. Because the shootout it takes place this in the film it takes place in downtown LA,
Hmm.
and it's this fucking insane fucking shootout where you have De Niro's character, Tom Sizemore's character, Val Kilmer, and then you have the getaway driver
Dennis Haysbert.
and
Yeah. Haysbert.
yeah, who was working as a line cook now that he's like out of prison or
Hmm.
whatever, and um against De Niro and against Pacino and his crew, and it's this fucking insane shoot 'em up, um, 90s version of a peck and paw, fucking like bullets flying, fucking very well done, very well choreographed,
Hmm.
intense, fucking very, very well done shootout, and it's like minutes long. Um, and in '97, these two heavily fucking armed guys with AK-47s and
Yeah.
fucking full-on body armor go into a B of A in North Hollywood. They come out and the cops are already outside, and they just start fucking blasting the fuck out of the cops. Um, I don't know if they actually killed any cops, but that they injured some for sure, and that more people in general didn't die. I don't know if anyone died, but other than them, um, but that more people didn't die is a fucking miracle because it was like thousands of rounds shot.
If I
Because they
remember
were
correct,
spraying the cars.
yeah, they were spraying the
Yeah,
cars. If I remember correctly, people were talking, and this could be just conjecture about if it bleeds, it leads. Go back to Nightcrawler if you want to hear our
yeah,
discussion on that. But there was, I remember the news kind of making a big deal out of the fact that they were portraying the police as woefully outgunned, like
They were.
so yeah, like they were shooting 22s at fucking body armor
The
and
cops
everything.
had fucking shotguns and
Hmm.
handguns,
Yeah.
and the cops had to go to a nearby gun store.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, that's part of the story that I know about it. And it wasn't until actually the SWAT team arrived,
Hmm.
that now it was like more even, um, because these guys are just spraying
Yeah.
everything. If they saw movement, they would just spray in that direction. And they had all these fucking like clips of all this shit and fucking like all these guns. And if they got shot, the shots would just bounce off of
Wow.
them. And it was like almost an hour long. And they came out, they shot, they went back in, they came out, and they were just spraying, and the bullets were just going through the cop cars, and the cops were just diving and fucking, and then one of them started shooting at the helicopter, the news helicopters, the fucking like, and then ultimately, like if you watch the footage, you can see there are like little documentaries on it and on YouTube, and you can see footage and stuff. Um, One of them is like, all right, let's go. Like he has the bag, and he's like, and the other one was like, nah, like and so one of them gets in the car and starts to drive off, and then the other one is still shooting, but then his gun, his machine gun fucking like locks up, it like jammed.
Yeah.
So then some cops are coming up and they're like shooting, and so he's getting hit um like from the side or wherever, that he ultimately, like some of the bullets are making it through, and then apparently he got shot in the hand, because then he 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 drops the fucking machine gun and pulls out a pistol and he starts shooting that. So then he drops that gun because he got shot in the arm or wherever, and then he picks up the gun with his other hand and he puts it under his chin and he shoots himself in the head. So
Wow.
he's down.
Yeah.
Then the other guy tries to carjack like a bunch of people in different cars, and he gets a like a truck or something, and I think he was transferring more ammo and the bag and all this shit into that, but it wouldn't start. So then the cops, the at that point the SWAT team comes, and so they're just machine gunning each other like on the other side of cars. It was insane. They shoot his legs, um, and then he falls. Then they shoot his ass more, and then what I had heard is that they basically they held the paramedics back, and they basically let him bleed out. So he died on the scene, like just incapacitated there, like by the car. Um,
Wow.
and so now, like, what I had seen this scene and I had seen this movie a bunch of times, renting it, and I'm sure we fucking after that shit happened, we probably rented it again. Um, Knowing us, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and so now I they're like linked. I I can't think of this movie without thinking of that, or and vice versa. Um, and I'm sure if you watch some of those things, I'm sure in the comments on if you watch YouTube shit, I'm sure people are gonna be like, "Oh, heat this, heat that," because um, especially in LA, like that was unprecedented. Um, it 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 was like a game changer um, for the cops, because it showed how they were not prepared for that. And it was a bunch of fucking cops versus two dudes. And I don't know if they were, I haven't like researched it or anything, so I don't know if they had, if they were on anything. Um,
Mm.
I don't know if they were like on some kind of drugs or something that would like help them fucking, like keep going.
Yeah.
because they fucking they were like machines. It was like super soldier type shit, and um, bullets bouncing off of them, and them just spraying everybody. And so when I watch the scene, it's not exactly that, but it is fucking like it's intense, and it's some of it is like, okay, well, is it far fetched? Um, but in this kind of movie, it's supported by the insanity of the rest of the film in general.
Well, you take into account the restrictions that, well, god damn it. I mean, you have the excitement and the terror in a situation, and then you have the stone cold professionalism that De Niro and his crew would have in. I think they're prepared for something like this. They're not wanting it, but they're definitely anticipating it and seeing how things might fall. And Pacino and his crew. I mean, I there are times when you watch an action scene in a movie and you're just like, okay, bullshit. I'm talking about the entire filmography of the great John Woo, where you're just like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
As much as I love John Woo, get the fuck out of here. But with this, I feel like they escape, and it's really only De Niro and Kilmer that escape by the slimmest
yeah,
of chances in the confusion of everything. Um, but it seemed real to me, and it's overwhelming. And as I watched it, I think this is probably the closest to way. This is probably the closest to the way something like this would really go down. And I don't feel like it's exaggerated. I don't feel like it's amped up for theatrics. I think it's honest to the situation, and I think that's what makes it even. I think the film as a whole is honest to the world that it's depicting, and that's what makes it stand out. But it is definitely these scenes where the when you couple this with the opening armored car heist, and you see the
yeah,
preparation, you see the diligence, and you see the professionalism, but also that first one contrasted with the unexpected character of Waingro. You realize how good these guys are at what they do, and it lends to the believability. And I can't say that the film is unrealistic in any way. Not for that. I don't see where this is. I don't see where they have stretches of the imagination. Even even in figuring out who the crew is, with Tone Loc saying, "Fucking Slick is no joke." You're like, whoa,
yeah,
what's Slick? What's Slick? I've talked to cops who are like, yeah, sometimes it's something as simple as a little phrase that that's the string that you start pulling on,
yeah,
and everything else. You have to be aware of the small details in order to unravel the bigger picture. And I think that's where it gets it right, because these guys are they're professionals in a way that you and I are not in police work. We don't know. That's kind of what makes police procedurals a lot of fun, is that you're sitting there and you're going, yeah, I imagine the cops would have done that. I think that
yeah,
that shit is believable. And this is not Die Hard. This is a real, actual. I think this is about as close to a realistic crew, and a realistic, two realistic crews, as I can imagine doing what is depicted in this film. I don't think it. I don't think it. I don't think it. It exaggerates for dramatic narrative, but it doesn't. It doesn't exaggerate in the sense of now we're just trying to create something that's exciting. I think it's. I think it's. I think it's on point, and that's. I think
yeah. I
that is
mean,
what makes people go back to it.
it's the editing, the pacing, everything
Hmm.
about the shootout is just it's one of it's the crown jewel of all the acting of all the action scenes in the film.
Yeah.
And it really sets the last half of the film or the last act or whatever it is into motion. And
You know, it's really interesting because as I was watching that, that was the exact right as that ended was the exact moment that the dog needed to go outside. So I paused it, and when you pause it on my TV, it shows you how much is left. And there was
yeah,
still an hour and 10 minutes left in the movie.
yeah,
And I'm sitting there going, "Holy shit!" And having watched the movie so many times, I'm like, that hour and 10 minutes doesn't feel like I know that hour and 10 minutes feels like 30 minutes. I've seen this
yeah.
film
This
enough
movie
time. Yeah.
pacing is yeah, because the movie's long. It's
Oh,
like
it's long
what,
as
almost
fuck.
3 hours.
Yeah, it's 250. 2 hours 50 minutes.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like it
Not
doesn't
at
feel
all.
like fucking Lawrence of Arabia or whatever
No,
the fuck. You know what I
no.
mean? Like it doesn't feel like Seven Samurai. It
No.
doesn't feel and I don't know how long those are, but
4 hours each, almost. Just shy of 4 hours each.
okay, well, yeah, this doesn't even feel like almost that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like an hour shy of that.
No.
This feels like a 90-minute fucking
Mm-hmm.
piece, even
Oh,
though it's long as fuck and it has all these different scenes and it's you're going back to the Natalie Portman and all these things are going back and forth, but
yeah.
it's all moving. Um,
Yeah.
so this I'm curious about fucking Heat 2. I'm curious about LA Takedown to see how I want to see what are the foundational pieces that kind of like would lead to this because that's a trial run for this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is going to be like, oh yeah, well, we're not going to see fucking De Niro and Pacino in that. We're not going to see all of that, but I do want to see the rough draft,
Mm-hmm.
um, and to see kind of like how different is it, and really how much of it is like, okay, we have the cast, we have the budget, we can shoot this, we can do that. Is it just something that was like, it's a demo tape, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, and
I am too.
that'll be
I'm from a purely critical standpoint, but I just know it's not going to be an enjoyable. I'm sorry. I I know it's not going to be an enjoyable experience because it's like I've seen how good this can be. But from
this
the
is great.
standpoint,
This
yeah,
is a great film.
yeah, exactly. It is one of the great films, and like I said as we started, um, this is my Taxi Driver. This is my Wild Bunch. This came out at a time when I was a young man, and I was like, wow. And I don't know if there's anything else out there like that. I certainly can't imagine that anything's getting made today that's gonna resonate with my nephew, like this did with me. But I was also 5 years in, no, 7 years into my fascination with both of these actors. So, like when I took him to see, because this played in the theater out here, and I took him to see
Mm,
it, and it kind of broke my heart because he could not appreciate it the way I did. He
who
hadn't,
can?
yeah, and that's I feel that if you didn't grow up with the films that lead up to this is still a great film, but you're missing out on an aspect of it that has that cultural and cinematic importance.
Yeah,
And I it makes me sad. I feel real fortunate that we grew up in a time where we knew the legend of The Godfather, Taxi Driver, Raging Bull. We knew how important it was cinematically for these two men to come together and do this film. And likewise, the failure of Righteous Kill. and springing back with The Irishman. The Irishman isn't as good as this film, but The Irishman
Right.
is a great. I think we talked about it where it's a great old man's film, and it's a great summation of everything all of them have done, and that's the power. Yeah. So that's
Yep.
Heat. If you haven't seen it, you owe it. If you haven't seen it in a while, you owe it to yourself. And with you living in LA, they play this movie every 2 or 3 years. You really do owe it to yourself to see this movie in a theater, in
Yeah,
particular
that'll be great.
that scene. You have to see it. Yeah,
Yeah, that'll be really great. I just saw Fight Club
yeah.
a little over a week ago. So
So you know the importance of
yeah,
going to a movie theater. Yeah,
yeah. So 600th episode. We have a lot of shit coming down the line ahead. Trying to look forward. Definitely looking back. Reach out and touch us at buymeacoffee.com/WatchRickRamos. Buymeacoffee.com/WatchRickRamos to support. We have the archive at Libsyn.com under Watch This with Rick Ramos. 10 plus years of shit. Go back, dig through, have fun, do your shit. Till next time.